Hi, friends. Welcome to the Legend Fiction Show. I'm joined by John Wood from Extraordinary Mission. He's got this epic project called Dragon Slayers, and we had him on the podcast before, and you were involved with our last Legend Haven Con last year, John. You announced it was a panel you did about your books, and you fielded a bunch of questions. You've written 7 books about 7 deadly sins, and they're presented as these epic dragon tales and stuff. And then now you took the whole thing to a whole new level this year. So let's catch up. What have you been doing this year?
Yeah, some Legend Haven, awesome experience for anybody out there who's thinking about it. I definitely highly recommend it. It's a great way to connect with people and share stories. And it was a great experience talking to everybody there. And over the last year, I think at the last Legend Haven, we were just kind of at that point where we were finally getting the last book out. So we spent all of 2024 releasing this 7-book series on the 7 deadly dragons, which are based on the 7 deadly sins. And so we wanted to teach kids virtue through storytelling. We've always believed that if you want them to know the truth, tell them the truth. But if you want them to remember the truth and love the truth and live the truth, then tell them great stories. And so
that's great.
It's a 7-book series. Each book is focused on one of the deadly sins. And they've kind of taken off. It's been really exciting to see how we've gotten so much great feedback from people all over the country, parents and kids. It gives them a language of dragon slaying.
So mostly kids who are loving this are like 8 through 11. That's the target range for all the work you're doing?
Yeah, the books are written at kind of a 5th grade reading level. And so when people ask, we say, kind of written at a 7 to 12-year-old level. The main character is starting in 2nd grade and going through 8th grade. But it's really a family project in the sense of we really want people to read it out loud as families. We've gotten our 23-year-old loves it. Our moms and dads love it. I wrote a lot of humor in there for the moms and dads because it's supposed to start conversations. It's supposed to help them recognize the dragons in their life, no matter what age they are. So they can see, hey, that's pride. That's the red dragon of pride. And then they know the weapons of virtue, that humility slays pride. And so it's a useful tool for parents, especially because if your kid memorizes all these dragons and you know the dragons and they really like the stories, then all you have to do when they're sinning, when they're making bad choices, is to name the dragon. If they're whining for more toys, the parent just has to say, hey, the green dragon of greed is getting you. And the child doesn't want to lose to the dragon. They want to slay the dragon. And so they're like, oh, generosity slays greed. I got to work on generosity. And so it's been really exciting for all ages, but yeah, it's really kind of geared towards that 7 through 12. The hero's journey is the main character of 2nd grade, starting in 2nd grade, going through an academy of dragon slaying and ending around 8th grade where he's confirmed as a knight of light, so to speak.
Nice. Oh, how cool. So you started with 7 books and now it's been a year, basically. What's now new for Dragon Slayers?
Yeah. So the books have given us more ideas and more opportunities to help schools, to help parents, to all these things. So we're starting to create flashcards. We're starting to create student manuals and teachers manuals. And the main thing though is, we have a podcast, Saturdays with Sir Roland, we've done for several years on Catholic Sprouts, and now it's kind of its own podcast. And so we have a lot of online material that we wanted to kind of gather into one place so we can use these as educational resources. So we spent the last several months creating a streaming platform, dragonslayers.tv. So people can go and listen to, the dragons and the parables, the dragons in different series that we've done.
Epic. Like it looks like a kid's sort of, not funhouse, but just an adventure platform. It looks so fun.
Yeah, you can look at everything through the lens of dragon slaying in a sense, which is fun for me. So when I read the parables, I tell the kids, let's pull out the dragons in this parables. Or I have a series called Dragons Around the House, very popular, where I just do a funny story about, hey, here's a temptation. What can you do? Choice A, choice B, choice C. And they kind of start off really goofy of really falling for the dragon up to epic dragon slaying, legendary dragon slaying. And the kid can kind of see firsthand situations they're going to encounter every day around their home. And it's fun for them. They remember there's a lot of humor involved. So those are fun things we can do. So the streaming platform has been great. And we also launched a Bible school this past summer where we trialed it. And part of that was music. So we've done a lot on creating Dragon Slayers music. That's been really fun. 2 songs for each book, kind of based on the books. I have battle cries for each book. So we can take the battle cries and make them into songs so the kids can memorize it and get stuck in their head. And they just listen over and over. Parents tell us, my kids just listen to these songs over and over and over.
That's awesome.
And that's all free on the streaming
What's the reaction
platform.
to the music? People like it?
Oh, they love it. So, I've had, parents saying, hey, my kid has listened to this, dozens of times over and over and over. One of them is a story of salvation history I wrote many years back based on it's kind of a parody of Billy Joel's We Didn't Start the Fire, but it tells the whole story of salvation history in 3 minutes. And it's just
Wow.
really catchy. And the
Mhm.
kids listen to it again over and over. They create dance moves to the songs. A lot of them are really fun. They are Bible
That's
school
great.
kind of, some of them are Bible school type songs. Some of them are just
Mhm.
epic movie trailer type songs that can kind of tug at your heart. And so there's a variety of songs there that we wanted to have for all different kinds of kids. And they kind of retell the stories. Many of them are storytelling songs that
Mhm.
tell the story through music, which is another powerful language that can help the kids remember the story and fall in love with them and inspire them to go out and
Mhm.
slay dragons.
That's great. John, what in a few words, what is your origin story, right? That got to a point where you're creating a series like this and throwing yourself into this epic ministry.
Yeah. Well, I'm actually an eye doctor, which always surprises people. That's what I do for a
I
living. I'm
didn't
actually a
know that.
scientist trying to figure out how to use the left side of my brain more in the creativity and the so like I just started doing talks not by choice in my own parish and wrote a book. My original book, Ordinary Lives, Extraordinary Mission, was published by Dynamic Catholic and distributed 250,000 copies around the country because it's given out for free. It's a great way to sell books. And that just gave me opportunities to travel and speak. But my target audience has always been young parents. And I felt like I wasn't necessarily reaching those parents in those big parish mission type events. And so we kind of reoriented our ministry back around 2018 to do retreats for kids and parents, especially regarding around the sacraments of First Reconciliation, First Holy Communion. And we wanted
Mhm.
to create a world-class retreat, and we called it Dragon Slayers. And that's where we kind of started using this analogy and concept of, identifying your sins and an examination of conscience so you can slay the dragon. And that's where the stories came from. I originally wrote a nonfiction book because that's kind of my first couple of books were nonfiction. And I
Mhm.
just wrote like a nonfiction book on how to slay dragons for kids. And the feedback from all the early readers was kids like stories, kids like stories. And so I
Mhm.
kind of delve into the idea of let's make a 7-book series that's epic on the 7 deadly dragons. And the rest is history. 2024 was crazy. We kind of set this crazy lofty goal of writing 7 books in like 10 months. And we had a whole assembly line. My daughter did a lot of the artwork. My other daughter did a lot of the editing and helping with the writing. My wife also helped with the editing. My son did a lot of the artwork. So it was a family project and everybody's
Mhm.
like on different stages, but we really had to basically release a book every month
Amazing.
starting on Easter Sunday in 2024. I wouldn't do that again, but it held us accountable and we
Sure.
got all those books out there and kids love them. It's been great.
That's incredible. Has faith, your Catholic faith, always been a big deal for you? Is it something that you grew into?
Yeah, I was raised Catholic. My mom just kind of a heroic witness of Catholicism,
Mhm.
in kind of in a small town where it seemed like everybody was kind of Catholic. But when I went out into the world, I encountered a lot of non-Catholics, kind of questioned my faith, which was really good for me. Challenged me to understand why I believed what I believed.
Mhm.
Met my future wife, and she's been a huge instrument in us growing together and falling in love with our Catholic faith. And then my dad passed in 2008 of cancer, and that's been a big part of my journey of where I really
Wow, I'm sorry.
started writing and speaking and making that promise to him. I'm going to strive to become the saint God created me to be and inspire
Mhm.
as many people as possible to do the same. And that promise to my dad has kind of held me accountable and kept me going all these years to keep sharing my faith in whatever ways God calls me to, even though he often nudges us in a direction we don't want to go. But if you listen, I've
Mhm.
never regretted traveling and speaking and writing the things I never thought I could do. But if God
Wow.
wants you to do
Amazing.
something, He gives you the tools to do it. He equips you to do whatever it is He wants you to do.
Yeah. Amazing. So you started with, I love the ambition in what you're doing. You started with a world-class retreat, and then you put out 2 books, and then you put out 7 within a 10-month period. And then a year later, I'm talking to you again, you've got an online TV platform and an album of music. What's next? Do you have plans, or it's just like
Yeah. So,
crossing that
well,
bridge as
this
it
is.
comes?
Well, I'm not allowed. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to talk about this yet, but
Okay.
we've had a lot of people reach out about turning this into an animated series, and so that's a whole
Wow,
new
that's
world.
amazing. Wow.
Several people have reached out, screenwriters, producers, some pretty big name producers that are is very exciting. So I don't know what'll come with all that. There's a lot of stress probably going to be involved in decision making of what we do with that series, but that's hopefully in the pipeline of let's get these into an animated fun TV type series that kids can watch and not just listen to. So that's another project. I also have a project called Knights of Light, kind of based on the books, where right now it's father son, but it's like an archery type thing where they go through the academy year by year. Year one, they focus on the red dragon. Year two, the orange. There's archery involved. There's, parents spending time with their son, and then in the end, they kind of initiate them as a knight of light, just like in the books where the father declares the son that now you're a man. And that's kind of the goal of going through that academy and going through that process. And so we trialed that this summer as well, which was a great success with 14 boys and 11 dads. And so we're working on that too.
That's amazing. What is the number one thing you'd say perhaps you've learned about yourself over the last 3 years? And like you said, you're a scientist, left brain kind of guy, getting into all of this right brain stuff so intensively over the last so many years. Not just as a creator, what have you learned about yourself, but as a person? What are you seeing that's different now?
Well, when you spend a lot of your life focusing on looking at everything through the lens of the 7 deadly sins, you see your own. What did G.K. Chesterton say? What's wrong with the world? Well, I am. So it's really, I've learned a lot about my own weaknesses, I guess, in that sense of writing a 7-book series based on my own childhood and trying to think back of how would I have struggled with pride. And these are partly true stories.
Oh, wow.
Of, my own mistakes, my own mess ups, and virtue. The virtue of humility is foundational for all the other virtues. And that's kind of where it starts, with pride and humility. And I've kind of learned that I can do so much more when I'm working with other people. A lot of times I had the tendency to try to do everything by myself, but I've learned in my own regard that it's more special that my whole family did the project. It's more special that I have a whole team involved. It's more special that I'll use my gifts and talents, but if I can help other people use their gifts and talents, that I'm going to be a lot better when I work together with other people. And so that's been a great life lesson for me. What I've learned about myself is just overcoming those weaknesses of my own to help myself thrive and let God do his work, be his instrument, stay out of the way with my own pride. And that's been a great life lesson. I think that learning about 7 deadly sins and 7 deadly dragons has been for me over the last 4 or 5 years, especially.
Yeah. In a second, I want to ask you what's been the funniest responses you've had from people and what's the best you've had from people. But first, where can people find you online to get a copy of the book, to get access to your TV platform? Yeah, where can they find you online?
Yeah. Our website is extraordinarymission.com. So you'll see a lot of all the content, our shop page, our books, all that stuff on our main website, extraordinarymission.com. But we do highly encourage everybody to check out our free streaming platform, which is just www.dragonslayers.tv. You can go and sign up for free. And then once you sign up on the streaming platform, you can download it now as an app, which is really exciting on any app, anywhere you get your apps. So sign up first on dragonslayers.tv, get that free account, and then download the app, and you'll have access to all of our content. Those
Amazing.
2 websites would be the way to go.
Excellent. So, funniest feedback you ever got from somebody who grabbed your book or has been involved with you guys?
Yeah. Well, there's so many fun stories from the parents. One of the funnest ones, and I mentioned earlier, helping kids understand to recognize the dragon. So this is from my own godson. He's probably 5 or 6 years old now, and his dad was telling me that he had way too much pizza for supper one night, and he went out in the yard and he's playing, and he got a bellyache, and he came in the house and he just kind of bent over and held his belly. He's like, "Dad, I think the indigo one got me," which is the indigo dragon of gluttony. So it's a perfect example of where the kids recognize the dragon. They see it in the real world, and you hear stories like that all the time from parents, that these kids are really getting it. They're really recognizing the dragons in their everyday life. And that's the most rewarding feedback we get, is that the parents are using the tools exactly how we design them to be used, by starting conversations and helping kids to examine their conscience again. And we receive thousands of testimonials every year from our events and from our books. And that keeps us going, just to see how it's making a difference in people's lives. So it's been very rewarding.
Yeah. Last question is then, so that was the funniest. What's the best or perhaps the most heartwarming or mattered most to you feedback you ever got from someone?
Oh boy, that's going to be tough. There was a mom that reached out, and this was last year when our books were just coming out. And I think she had talked about how her son had struggled so much with school. He was kind of hypersensitive, just really couldn't sit still, couldn't listen, didn't like books, got into the podcast, I guess is what kind of caught his attention first, and just fell in love with the concept of of dragon slaying, and you could kind of hear the emotion in her voice from her email, even of how he's totally reoriented his life. And again, this is a kid with special needs that nothing's really reached him before. But I guess he had missed. I did like a live stream that week, and they didn't get the email for some reason, and he was very upset. But he said normally that would kind of force him to break down, but he looked at it through the lens of dragons again, responded very, very graciously. And the mom just kind of reached out and told me, I work with a lot of people and help them find their vocation, and I just know that you're doing what God has called you to do, and I can't tell you the impact it's had on my young son. And so that really touched my heart, I think, just to hear that feedback from a mom whose son was impacted so greatly.